How beat up was Muse after his fight with Daredevil last week? How many Starbucks are outside Kingpin's window? We'll talk about all that and more as the Talk Punch spoiler cast is back, recapping and reviewing episode 7 of Daredevil Born Again, titled Art for Art's Sake. I'm Brody. To my left is Tudong Dylan.
Hey.
To my right is Charlie Hickman.
Hello.
Charlie's going to be taking us through this episode, and we will be scoring this at the end, so you're going to want to stick around for that, see what the averages are. The numbers, I love the numbers. But first, Charlie, take us through this episode.
All right, episode 7. We ended episode 6, if you remember. We have the great Daredevil Muse fight at the end here, setting up what is surely to be a rest of season confrontation between our hero and this mysterious villain. Angela survives by the skin of her teeth. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in 1 second. But our episode opens. We get Fisk. We get Angela in the hospital. Daredevil's back. He's back. Yeah. Fisk is finding out some details about what went down in Muse's lair. Angela's in the hospital with she's got the flashbacks, and Daredevil's washing off blood in the shower. There's a slow motion pigeon just outside the window. Then Heather.
Yeah,
so,
she did.
Look, this is kind of our opening. It's a little bit all over the place, a lot of back and forths. What do you guys want to talk about here in this kind of opening sequence?
Oh, I don't. The first note that I have.
While you're thinking, 2,500 milliliters of blood. They said she lost.
Yeah,
2,500 milliliters of blood. The average, and this is just, hey, this is just an average, and maybe she contains an exceptional amount of blood. But a 13-year-old approximately has about 29, 25, or 3,150 milliliters of blood in their entire body.
Okay.
So she lost essentially all of her blood.
All of her blood. But CPR. Matt did CPR to bring her.
That is over 5 pints of blood. That she's got to be, 13, 14 years old, weighing 100 pounds. She lost like 5 pints of blood, or 83% of her blood, her total blood in her body.
Oh, jeez.
But you know what? She's okay. She's okay, and that's all that matters. Anyway, if ever I'm arrested by the federal government, it's simply because I looked up how much blood is in the body of a 14-year-old girl. I'm just banging this real quick. So no big deal. If you see me getting carted away mid-episode, looked up a lot of blood facts for the ep. Anyway, she would have died. But anyway, on we go.
Yeah.
Onwards and upwards.
Okay.
TV show magic.
So that blood thing, Charlie, how long did it take you to look that up?
3 seconds. It was a very bingable, how much blood in human body, and then it was like, oh, okay. So if you lose over half your body, it's like you're basically gone, and that's adults. And so I was like, well, I wonder how much kids have less blood. They're tinier. And then that was like I chained like 2 Bing searches together, and that was it. So.
But the
government doesn't really look around it. Like, they don't monitor Bing. Nobody ever. No government agency does that. And apparently, the Born Again, production company also did not decide to Bing it.
Yeah,
because sheesh.
If that information is out there, you would think that if you're writing a show and getting paid to write a script and you're having to do all this stuff, that you could at least make it believable. It's like it bothered me last week that she seemed to lose so much blood, and then they went specifically to how much blood she lost, and it is just like, okay, like, you couldn't have looked it up, you couldn't have come up with anything else. So
that was wild to me that they put a specific number in. It was unbelievable, but to then put like a number to it, like no. It was 2,500 milliliters, to double down and be like, no, it's possible to lose that much and live, which maybe technically it is, but it was just such an avoidable, this whole show is full of these avoidable, half of the things we talk about in the show, I feel like are the cartoon gifs of people stepping on rakes and just over and over again, wandering into a rake and it smacks them in the face. Who could have seen this coming? Just don't have her drained of all her blood. It's fine. It added nothing to the scene except frustration for people watching it going, come on.
Yeah.
Well, and even the Daniel character said, apparently that's a lot. It's
Apparently,
it's like something that you would do in like a gag when you're making like a silly movie,
completely satirical movie.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
was trained of 25. That must be a lot. It's
yeah,
actually just about all almost.
yeah, yeah.
It's past the lethal loss of it.
Yeah. But no, if they looked up a 200-pound man, for instance, 200-pound man has like 12 liters of blood, so they can lose up to 6. So if they're just looking at like, well, she's kind of like a 200-pound man, she'd probably be all right. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. It just anyway really takes you out of like the
It was an
of a
odd
show, and
choice.
there's like a lot of these rake in the face moments. Are you guys falling in love with with Heather and Matt? Mather?
No, not at
No.
all.
Matt?
When she said, okay, she says in this episode, she throws down a hard L, and he throws it down right back. And I was just like, what? Really? Is
Yeah.
this moving a little bit fast? I'm not even in the relationship, and I'm like, how fast is this thing going?
Yeah, I have no idea how long this season has taken place. It feels like a couple days, but then they're saying I love you, and so I'm like, maybe this has been like a couple months. I don't know. It was. I noticed that too, Tudong. I was like, oh, because I thought there was going to be this awkward, like she's going to say I love you and he's not going to say it back type thing. But no, he just I love you too.
Now, did you guys notice?
Yeah. They love each other? What? When did that happen?
Did you guys notice that in the recap? I don't know if you guys watched the recaps.
No.
But I was watching the recap, and they kind of made it a little bit obvious who Muse was before, but they really, really made it obvious by focusing on the exact thing that I was just like, yeah, this guy seems like he's Muse. I bet you he's Muse. And now you see in the recap, and it's like, well, now obviously, clearly he's Muse.
Sure.
It's the same guy from several episodes ago.
And I'm pretty sure Charlie said that in his recap of like episode 2. I think that was.
Yeah.
I don't even think we had been exposed to Muse yet, and Charlie was like, "So that's Muse, right?"
The random zoom in, like this whole show has been a lot of like ham-fisted, like my audience isn't very smart, so we'll just keep showing them. But like also like if you didn't know it was Muse, there's no setup or reveal in any way. This is akin to like if I wrote a murder mystery and then I was like, okay, can you guys guess who the killer is? And you all guess characters that were in the script, and I'm like, aha, but you didn't guess Steve. And you're like, who's Steve? I'm like, he hasn't appeared yet. Surprise! What a twist! You know, like there's no earned like surprise or twist.
Sure.
And we'll talk more about Muse here in a minute, but we can kind of skip through a lot of this opening stuff, right? I do want to talk. Okay, just real quick, and I know we ranted about this a little bit last week, but Cherry once again doubling down, even after he finds the serial killer in one night and saves a tiny girl from certain death, and he's like, "How could you get involved? What are you doing? Leave it to the cops to let the girl die next time." It's like it's just so out of character, and this is something that I want a filter I want you guys to be thinking about for this episode.
Yeah.
Is that the universe that this takes in this is no longer the Netflix universe, where a lot of things that they have, like the way that people feel or interact about like vigilantes and characters, it makes sense in the Netflix universe where that's the only exposure to like superheroes we got. But you're telling me that after alien invasions and like a snap that kills half the world, and then they come back and people are like, oh, he wears a mask? Oh my goodness. I never.
How dare
and like, oh, there's a serial killer loose? Well, I'm offended that you would even think about trying to stop them since you have the ability and the capability to do so. Like, it's so wild. Like, in any normal circumstance, it's wild, but in the giant MCU with all the crazy crap that's constantly happening, the scrawls and freaking like just I'd be like, please, for the love of God, do anything. I put on a little mask and run out there and be like, it's me, normal guy.
Yeah. There was 2 things that I wrote down within this conversation. So yeah, Cherry is mad at Matt, but Muse killed 60 people. You would think
he's a mass murderer at this point,
like
not
mass
a serial killer. Even.
Mass
he's just
serial killer
killing people.
You would think that Cherry would be like, hey, you know what? I'm not a fan that you're Daredevil, but I'm glad that you took care of this guy. Like, I'm glad that you stopped this guy. Like, but there's nothing. Terry is just like, I can't believe you. I thought that we like knew each other, and he's so offended that Matt went and stopped Muse. And then also, it was another one of these really specific things that they wrote in there, is that even Matt was like, Muse has been killing all these people. What have the police done? I found Muse's hideout in one night.
In a night.
It's like
night.
He finds him twice very fast.
and he
like
did
zero effort.
And we joked about it, but then Matt then points it out. Like, the writers wrote that in there of like, oh yeah, he's been killing all these people, and I found him in one night. It was like,
can I just say,
I know 40 deaths ago, but
yeah, I think it's really hilarious that like right after this, almost exactly right after this, the same police officer who was at the bank goes to Wilson Fisk. It's just like, it's only been a night again, but we know exactly who it is. I'm like, you guys just know who he is now.
Most prolific serial killer of all time. Like, everyone knows who he is, but yet no one found out until after he killed over 60 people. And now everyone's like, oh, this guy.
Oh, that guy. Yeah. Okay.
It's pretty great.
I thought that scene where he was talking to Heather, right? Heather,
yeah.
Where Muse, I'm not going to remember his real name. Muse was talking to her, and the entire time, and I was just like, does she know who he is now? All of a sudden, now she knows who he is?
Well, we're not there yet, though, right?
All he was doing was talking about his past.
But
she's like,
we'll get there, because I have some stuff written down about that whole conversation as well.
That whole scene we're gonna spend some time there. Well, let's speed there real quick. I do want to ask you guys about Kingpin.
Okay.
And this next, like, the scene after this is Kingpin talking to Buck, who's his number 2, and they really should. I don't know why they cast Buck as like a slick English dude, but anyway, there's never been a slick English dude named Buck in the history of time. And if you look up what he looks like in the comics, it is not like a Hugh Grant like kind of guy. Like hello, it is I, Buck. No, this never. All right, but anyway, I digress. And he's like, he's kind of talking about how, like, and Daredevil, and like that he's innocent and he's just a victim. Like, is Fisk crazy? Like, is that, are they going for like a different, like, who's he pandering to? Like, his number 2, who he tells to kill people all the time, he knows who he is. He knows what he's done. Like, that was such a weird scene to me. It was so disingenuous. If he was giving like a speech to a bunch of people where he was trying to convince them that he was the victim, well, great. But that he's just saying this out loud and seems to believe it himself, and is just talking to someone who is intimately well acquainted with all his felonious deeds. Like, are they just, is he crazy? Like, I don't understand the Fisk character all the way through. If they'd set it up at the beginning, like he had nearly died, and so maybe and they kind of say maybe the change is genuine. Like, maybe he really did like have these life altering experiences, but they never did that. Right? They've just kind of given us like, of course he's still the same guy, and I don't know. I just like, I feel like there's kind of like, there's no twists or turns in his character. It's like I don't know. It's just felt a little bit off maybe the pacing of how they did it. Maybe it was just because they were forcing that kind of back and forth with Matt. But I don't know. Like, this version of Fisk has not been like, I love Vincent D'Onofrio in the role. I think he's fantastic. Yeah. But like, the character itself just hasn't felt like they haven't found it. I don't know. And maybe that's just me, but what did you guys think? Like, this scene and beyond.
I thought that scene I thought was incredibly awkward. I was just like, wait, what is he doing? Yeah, I was like, he's supposed to be all about strength. And like, he should be like, this is actually what the truth is that I crushed him. I chewed him up and I spat him out. Instead, he's like, he destroyed everything. And again, I don't think that his performance was bad. But you're right. It just seems like the writers are not quite connecting with the character.
Yeah.
And that scene made no sense.
Yeah, he talked about getting unjustly imprisoned. And it's like, but you were the kingpin of crime. You crushed a dude's head. You crushed a dude's head in the door of season 1. Like you had 3 seasons, and he killed Ben Urich. Like, I thought the same thing. I was like, he's just kind of complaining. He's just kind of complaining like a little boy who got caught like doing something wrong, and now he's like, I didn't do anything wrong, and it's like, but no.
Yeah, come on, man.
And I'm sure you could say that there are people out there that, like, I'm sure the writers could say, well, there are people like that, especially powerful people who always still somehow find a way to feel like or point out that they are the victim. And I think that's true. That's just not the Kingpin, though. Like, that's not this guy.
He knows what he's doing.
That's weakness doing that. That's
like, just because there's someone out there who might do it doesn't mean that we should make this character do it. Coming out of the end of last episode, where it seemed like, he's supposed to be back.
The Kingpin.
He's eating the meat. Yeah. He's killing the atoms. He's the Kingpin again. And then he's like, but all the jobs lost. Like, it was unjust. That masked man.
Yeah, I didn't like that whole scene.
Yeah,
very weird.
Well, we get from here. We get the more hospital stuff. We get Matt kind of intercut with the detectives in Muse's lair. We get like Vanessa meeting the guy under the bridge.
Luca.
Now,
Luca.
I have to say, I do like the fact that it was that same freaking detective. Like, Daredevil comes in, that idiot detective comes in, and he just clubs. How he didn't kill him like Bullseye did or would have. I was just like, did you just hit him in the head with it? Wow, this guy is made of adamantium. This detective.
He's a hard-headed detective.
I wrote the same thing down. Is that this dude is never injured? He got hit. Daredevil threw the billy club right at his head to the point of unconsciousness. And in the next scene, just fine. Not a bruise, not
not even a mark.
Nothing.
He's
nothing.
Just fine.
He's just fine talking on the phone.
If I was knocked unconscious at my job or any place else, I'd be like, now take me to the freaking hospital. No, I'm not going to write a report. You see, I might have a concussion. I'm the victim here. Now, see, he could be a victim, but not Kingpin.
Okay. And then, so while we're in that scene, okay, so we start the scene and Daredevil drops down from the ceiling, but there is
that I can that I'm willing to take. I will take that.
Sewer.
That is fine. Daredevil swings down. I'll take it. That's fine.
Swing down
like
from
Batman
where?
Suddenly appeared in a place where there's no entrances or exits. It's Batman. I'll give it to him. It's Daredevil. I'll give it to him. That's a Daredevil thing to do. He swoops in. It's perfect. Then they got it.
It was such a Spider-Man moment. It made me laugh.
It really was. He just. I was like,
it was
Daredevil.
I don't know. It was kind of funny that he just kind of like dropped down out of nowhere. Like the police are all over this place, and somehow he like climbed on the ceiling and then dropped down right there. But
no one ever looks up in this town.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That wasn't the biggest thing. The biggest thing for me was he's going through these pictures that Muse has painted, and we get alluded to this when Heather and Matt are telling that they love each other, and he touches her face, and then he's touching the paintings, and somehow he can tell from the paintings that they're of Heather, because I don't know.
Ham-fisted.
I don't know. I don't think that's how paintings work, especially when they're like paintings from blood.
Daredevil's CSI skills are off the chart in this season.
They really are. They really are.
But the police were there almost right after he was. Somehow they were like, wait a minute, that's his psychiatrist or his therapist. That happens to be. Send your people over there. Clearly, that's where Muse is. And then they do. They get there right after. I'm like, how did this take so long? Again. And he's just saying it. Are we at the part where they're having that? Like, he's just sitting there, and she already somehow knows. She's like, wait a second. What? What do you mean there was a martial arts expert teaching you? wait a minute. I have heard that Muse knows martial arts. Of course, I never heard this. I never heard this anywhere. Is he like that in the comic book? Because I don't.
He,
So,
he's
so before we
superhuman in
start
the
talking about the
comics,
scene,
but
before we start talking about the scene,
okay.
there's a great show called 30 Rock. If you've never seen it, it's fantastic. And periodically throughout the show of 30 Rock, they have like promos for fake shows. And when Donaghy's trying to tank the network, they have the show called God Cop, and it's like God is a police officer, but like he always knows who did it because he's God. And so
Okay.
it's just like, and the guy's like, and the show's just, it's really funny. It's worth the, searching it up on YouTube just to watch that alone. That and the hominin game show. But like, it's really funny. Like, and it's kind of like the Daredevil just kind of instantly solves whatever crime. He's got like some kind of the godlike crime solving powers here, which lead us to the therapist's office and the scene that Dylan's alluded to a couple of times here, where the therapist is with Muse, and then we have kind of that intercut with the Fisk and the detective talking. We get news that he's an elite fighter, and then they're talking. I love my parents, but also they forced me to do karate, and then,
Taekwondo. I love that.
excuse me.
I love it when the detective was like, "Do you know anything about Taekwondo?" He's like, "I like boxing." I was just like, "Yeah, that's right. Show her some boxing right now." Now, just I gotta ask. When I start seeing this particular scene, I was saying to myself, "Are you kidding me with this? This is how this is." Somehow she's put this together. Like again, it was so quick, so fast, so easy that I was just like, did they was this a rewritten show? And then they're like, we got to get done with this. We got to get done now with Muse, just because
Yeah, it was based on
that's what I was thinking. I was like,
one piece of fabric that is very rare and very expensive and is only sold
yeah,
in
oh,
two stores in the city. And so
Rookie mistake.
they had time
12
to
people.
go to those stores, determine the 12 people that I guess are registered to buy this fabric. And they've already talked to 11 of them, or it was very quick.
I know you guys.
Quick.
Don't watch the Fast and Furious movies, but I mean, hey, I watch them. I have. I guess I've stopped, but I watched them before, and I love how they're always like, "This bullet, it's only sold at one store. Luckily, this is the bullet that we pulled out of your arm. Otherwise, we never would have understood." All the time, it's like, well, they got a newspaper, but you can only buy the newspaper at one store. So clearly, we got to go every single time. And then they pulled one of those out where it's like, well, it's only available at two stores, and we talked to everybody except for this one guy. We just couldn't find him for some reason. Maybe he's at his therapist.
These are the kind of shenanigans you pull when you have a week-to-week bad guy and only 40 minutes to tell a story, and you just can't take any time with it. So it's convenience, and it's all these just like plot armor. Like, oh, okay, the coincidence that someone says wait, say that again.
Yeah.
They were killed in the trunk, or did you say trunk? Trunk. Oh, the elephant did it. That's like these kind of like these like little conveniences. This is not what you're expecting in a show that has all the time in the world to build like their narrative. Anyway, it was confusing, not confusing like I didn't understand it, but it's confusing to me that they chose to do it in this way.
Yeah.
I is the therapist a bad therapist and didn't realize until that moment that he was a serial killer, but knew enough that she felt like he could be, that without him saying anything about killing anyone or anything, that she's like, you must be the prolific serial killer who's killed 60 people because you took Taekwondo and you don't like your parents. Like, or did she know this whole time and was like suspicious, but then was still kind of like meeting him? Like, it doesn't make any sense that from what we were seeing, it was like done for the audience's benefit. But we already knew that was Muse. And if you didn't know that was Muse, there was no reason to care that it was Muse. It wasn't a reveal. Yeah. If Cherry was Muse, that's a reveal. Like, we don't know Cherry very much. We don't like Cherry all that much. He's not a very well-developed character, but at least we kind of know who Cherry is. Like, at least that's like that is surprising. Doesn't make sense, but it's surprising. Like, it was just a weird scene. Like, there was no buildup. His nose is bleeding. He's painting in his own blood. It was just like, I don't know.
Yeah, it
didn't work for me.
They're talking like they know each other really well, and he's talking about how she
Yeah,
has opened this thing up about him, and he feels so comfortable, and she is this missing piece. And I'm like, we haven't seen these two together since the book signing in episode 2, but apparently they've been meeting this whole time. I just think back, I'm like, why did we have a whole episode around Leroy, the jerk prisoner who was making fun of Matt the whole time, when like we could have been establishing this relationship and building up this Bastion guy to where it could have led to him being revealed as Muse. We've been filled, the show has been filled with so many random things that now we're like, but why did we get that and not more of this story? Because at this point we've had 2 episodes of Muse. So that was frustrating, and then the blood thing. Why was his nose bleeding? Why did his nose bleed? But then he went
all blood.
She saw that, and she sees that, and like that's some kind of a tell. Like, wait a minute, your nose is bleeding.
Your nose is bleeding.
You're Muse. Everybody talks about how Muse has a very bloody nose.
And then he
pinched
his nose, and then did this giant drawing with this tiny little bit of blood. I was like, there was not that much blood. How much blood is he continually bleeding? Does he keep going like that?
2,500 milliliters of blood out of his nose that he was able to.
It looked like it. He drew this whole big, and I was like, okay, all right. So that scene was actually frustrating. It was frustrating.
Yeah, it was frustrating.
That was exceedingly badly timed, bad timing, bad writing, and that was. I'll say this. I didn't care. What were the actors even thinking? I have no idea what their intentions were. It seemed like they were like, wait, I am going to go ahead and just go with what the whole thing was just, I didn't care for any of it.
It was weird. Like, so from here, we kind of get like a random forced scene of Kristen and Cherry being angry at each other for no reason, just to like continuously stall the narrative. There was nothing gained by that scene, which I feel like that's a lot of the scenes that we get in the middle parts of these episodes. They're just there to take up time. We get Daredevil investigating the pictures. This is where he, does the phrenology or whatever that, he feels the face and is like, that's the same face shape that's completely unique to my Heather. And then, Fisk also finds out that everyone's converging. Muse has punched out the duck. The cops are arriving. And Daredevil arrives. So now this is the big climax of the episode. So let's walk through this. The fight scene. What do you guys think? The choreography, all that. The way that it wrapped and resolved.
One quick other note about this Bastion guy. And it's going along with this cop guy that we've seen this entire episode get horribly beat up and is just fine the next episode. It was the same thing with Muse. Muse and Daredevil just had this fight where Muse is getting thrown around over tables, punched, kicked. Matt had some bruises on his back at least, but this Bastion guy looked completely fine in this episode.
Spitting teeth out with all this stuff. Daredevil has like armor on. He has specifically made armor. He shouldn't really be that badly bruised. When Muse punches or kicks him, he should be like, I have been hit by freaking Kingpin. This doesn't hurt or stop me in any possible way. But he's like, oh, that was terrible.
Elite Taekwondo, Dylan. Elite.
He's getting hit by the billy clubs. He got hung. Yeah. He got hung, and like you would think he would have some red thing that his therapist would then see of like, oh my gosh, are you okay? But like the fight like didn't happen. It's frustrating that like these things are not carried over and they're not followed up on of these fights and stuff like that. And it's like, but like, can we get some continuity here of this stuff? Sorry, I just wanted to point that out because I had that in my notes and I was like,
I highly agree with you. Highly.
Yeah. And I feel like we have one of these every episode, right? Where oh, Daredevil killed that guy. Oh no, he's just walking around fine.
Oh
Or
yeah,
the
he's
poor
just
lady
fine.
that gets trampled at the bank and then gets her head slammed in the desk, and then is like, hey, here I am.
Yeah.
That guy, that whoever that was, the bank robber who got his leg jumped on by Daredevil, he's fine. He's like, it's a little
fine.
sprained.
He's fine. He was great. He was just hopping away.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, look, the real kicker's gonna be when Foggy comes back next season, and he's like,
He's
the
coming
bullet
back.
missed my heart chamber by 1 inch, and I was
coming
fine.
back.
Yeah.
I faked out Matt somehow. I don't know how. He could hear everything. I stopped my own heart.
Yeah. I think after episode 1, I was like, there's no way Foggy's coming back. And now I'm like, nope.
He's coming back.
Foggy's gonna be back. Because
Everyone
injuries don't matter.
Foggy Nelson.
Injuries don't matter in this show.
The Foggy Bottom Boys roll again.
Yeah.
I thought this was a cool fight inside the office, but it wasn't as cool as last week's, where
true.
They're in a tighter spot. Like last week we got a lot more of these kicks of the martial arts. This one was really kind of just more of a brawl, thrown into the bookcases and stuff like that. And I really don't like the way that it ended.
Now, I thought it was interesting after this that James Gandolfini's son comes back. Like, you barely see him the last couple of, you see him in the background of last episode. I think you don't see him in the episode before that. He comes back and he's like, so you double-crossed me, baby. And she's like, I don't know.
Well, hold on.
He's like,
we're not there yet. We're still talking about the fight.
We're still talking about the fight?
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, we look, when we're watching the scene unfold, and I'm like, okay, here we are again. Is he going to once again let Muse escape? Are they just doubling down on that narrative? Are the cops going to break in and try to stop Daredevil instead of stopping Muse, and then Muse gets away? I mean, they got to kill Heather, otherwise, what are we even doing here?
But they don't.
And they don't, of course. And she shoots him dead, and he calls her by name, and now she knows. Now we get the whole she's going to know he's Daredevil thing. She screams at. This is another one of those moments too. She screams at him.
Yeah.
People who wear masks are weak. And again, we're living like in the snap of a finger. The giant alien guy just killed half of the population of the Earth, and then they came back a few years later. Like, I'm pretty sure the heroic guy wearing a mask to protect his identity. I think we can all get behind him. We don't need these narrative-driven little comments from characters. Why are there still people who don't like Daredevil? It doesn't make any sense in this universe. It doesn't make any sense.
She even said that she wanted to make it's funny. She's like, I want to write a book on, masked superheroes. And the first one, why don't you introduce me to Punisher, who doesn't wear a mask, but whatever. Maybe Daredevil. Does he wear a mask? I don't know.
But Doctor Live, Muse is dead, and he's dead. They did the Die Hard thing, where if they bring him back in next season or some other thing, he was lying on that floor dead for so long. It was like the guy, the German guy who's hanging from the chain for an hour, and then at the end of the movie comes out with a machine gun for some reason. He's I'm alive again. They would have to do some sweet movie magic. We talked about this. You see him when they're running down from the roof. He's still hanging. He hung there a long time.
He was dead. He was at least.
Watch that again. He's hanging there for an hour, and then he comes out and he's like, Doc. If Muse is somehow alive after this, I don't know. I just quit, man.
Muse,
ridiculous.
Muse got shot multiple times, and before that, Daredevil shot his billy club through his chest.
Through his chest. It was pretty. That was right into it.
I was like, I didn't know that his billy clubs did that, but apparently they do.
Not to Officer Powell's face, because that's adamantine.
Yeah.
Adamantine.
But one thing with Marvel is that they just kill these bad guys. And I don't like that they kill the bad guys. Muse is a cool character. And I feel like he could have done more, because ultimately we got 2 episodes of Muse, and now he's dead. And I was just like, another killed character? And so what now? So Heather's still alive, so now we just have to deal with Heather's trauma of her killing
I need to say it
somebody.
right now, see, hear it right here. She's turning into Muse. That's my prediction. Next season, Muse is coming back, and it's her. It's Heather.
Matthew Lillard was Muse's Muse. Yeah.
Matthew Lillard's in the next season, isn't he?
Yeah, he's in the next season. Lily Tomlin as well. So who knows?
Oh,
Is she
wow.
really? Is she really?
Yeah. That's the rumor. That's the rumor circulating around the old rumor mill.
So I'm
But yeah,
tired.
this was-
I'm tired of Marvel killing the
Yeah.
villains. It's
killed-
really
I could've believed
frustrating.
they
You're
killed
right, but it was
Claw
so-
in the first Black Panther. They killed him. I was like, Claw's dead now.
Yeah, they've killed a lot of people.
Haphazardly, right? Like an unearned, unemotional, just like disposal. Like we're done with this character, crinkle it up and put it in the trash can. It makes no sense to just have had like why was Muse even in this season? It doesn't
Yeah.
fit the narrative. It doesn't make any sense. There's nothing about this that furthers along the Kingpin, like fighting against vigilantes. If the Punisher had been out there killing bad guys and bodies are piling up, then you can then now we got a narrative here for
Sure.
someone to be like, is this really what we want? Is someone out here killing people? But like a serial killer is not a vigilante. There's no way to make that connection. No one's gonna like, and why are we even still using the term vigilante in a world full of superheroes? He's just a hero. He's just a superhero. That's all he is. Spider-Man is not a vigilante. He's a superhero. Like it's like watching zombie movies in 2024. You can't invent a world where people in 2024 haven't seen zombie movies. So everybody knows how zombies work. So they'll recognize the signs of a zombie apocalypse much faster in whatever story you're writing. Right? Yeah. Oh, this person's walking at me going, well, that's a zombie.
Hey, are
I'm
you
not
okay?
gonna let him bite me or scratch me. And if I get bit and scratched, then I'm assuming now I'm a dead zombie. I'm gonna lock myself. I know what's happening. I've seen the movie. Like I've read like in these universes, do comic books not exist? Do we not know what superheroes are? Do they not know who the superheroes are? Like mutants it doesn't make sense to hate mutants, but then like Captain America, like it doesn't make sense in that universe when we're trying to do all that stuff. It makes sense when we separate the universes and we kind of try to focus on like pockets of it. But the more we blend and blur, it's like he's not a vigilante. He's just a hero. He's just a superhero. A suit. Sure. Get some branding, man. Get a brand manager out here. Anyway, that stuff kind of bugs me from time to time.
Yeah.
It's hard when you're melding all these universes together. Vigilantes out here saving the world from certain destruction. Anyway. Well, so Dylan, we can finally, unless anyone has anything to add to the fight, we do get Kingpin, make your own narrative. Daredevil was never there. It was just you guys, right?
Now, I thought that was okay. It was at this point that I was like, all right, I kind of like that idea. Now I see some kind of a through line. He's like, he's going to just say Daredevil wasn't even there. That I actually like. I actually like the episode. I love the ending. I thought the ending was fantastic.
We'll talk about the ending here. We talk about the ending here in a minute, but
I'll say anything.
So from here, we get Daniel threatening BB.
Is he really threatening? Yeah, I guess he was threatening.
Yeah, there's a giant carrot and a giant stick, and I think very menacingly was delivering his message, which clearly worked because then we see the news clip in the next scene, and it's talking about how the cops saved the day and no mention of Daredevil. So unless she's going to come out with some BB report in the next episode or two, seems like the threats landed home.
What is the point of BB and Daniel?
I think they're just trying to show Daniel becoming more like the Kingpin, right? He's becoming more like he started out as this like naive kid who was just like, I'm a big fan of you, sir. I'm a big fan. Love you. And then now he's sitting there going like, hey, we can make this very hard for you, very bad for you. We could ruin your whole life. What are you gonna do?
I mean, see, here's the thing, though. I gotta say is that she really did like screw him over. Like I did not feel bad for her in any way. I'm like, you know what? How did you not kind of see this thing coming? Like, and I love how long it took. It took like several episodes later. Like, and then he's like, well, let me think about this whole thing. Let me mull it over, and then I'll come back to it. And then she's like, well, you were drunk, and yeah, I took advantage. How could she not have seen that he being working for like the mayor and obviously a kingpin? Why did she think that this was just gonna be okay? Like, was she that naive? She was just like, I'm stunned that you're actually upset that I screwed you over.
Yeah,
hey,
I'm
happens in life. I was like, are you kidding me, lady? Like, you should be apologizing and saying, please don't kill me. I know what you guys do. How many bodies need to be disappearing? As a matter of fact, you guys don't care. 60 people and nothing happens. I'm probably going to get killed myself. I thought the scene was ridiculous. I thought this had already been kind of taken care of for some reason.
I think you can kind of see.
I'm
Oh,
over
sorry. Go ahead,
BB,
Brody.
and
Go ahead.
I'm just saying I'm over BB. I'm over Daniel. This is
Not
another
much,
one of
yeah.
those things. This is another one of those things that, like, when at the start of the season, I was like, oh, the BB breaks are kind of fun and getting the people on the street. But now I'm just like, okay, like, I don't feel like either of these characters are serving any purpose to the story. Feels like they're in their own little storyline that I don't care about. And
That's true.
and I'm like, okay, can we like focus more on like Matt? Can we focus more like anybody else? Like
Anybody.
Anybody else? Like, can we get more? What's Cherry doing? What's Kristen
Heather,
doing?
Muse, let's talk to
like
these people.
anybody? We've got so many of these little like side stories, and I'm like, I don't need BB. I don't need Daniel. I'm over it. I don't need them anymore.
I think we can almost see in real time that like creative people within like the MCU or the DCEU or whatever, like the superhero comics, trying to figure out the role of reporters and press in their stories in 2025, where like
Yeah.
newspapers were such a standard, like Clark Kent and Peter Parker, and they work at newspapers. We got J. Jonah Jameson and like all these kind of like larger than life information driven newspaper, the Daily Herald and the Globe, all these different like famous things. Like, and we got in the even in the first 3 seasons, we got Ben. They fold that in with Ben. Uh, how do we make that work in 2025? You can almost see them sitting around a table like brainstorming. All right, how do we get this in? How do we get like the we need the newspaper, but we can't have newspapers anymore. What is it? An online magazine? Is it like a blog? What are we doing here? No bad ideas. And they're like, what about like just little snippets of like someone's TikTok account? And it just like, sure, like maybe this is a little bit more honest of how information is disseminated in 2025, but it's so unnecessary for the story. Like maybe the answer to that question is just like it doesn't need to play a role. Like we can just kind of let that part of things be buried. And like we all understand that news travels fast. I don't think we need to see little man on the street interviews or little snippets like that. I think we can just maybe let some of the Jimmy Olsen type characters just kind of go by the wayside. We don't need the press to be so heavily involved in the storytelling of these larger than life characters, especially short run seasons where we're trying desperately to get more than 10 minutes of total screen time for the for the lead in his freaking outfit.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. That's just something that I was thinking about as I was watching this. It's just out of place. I think you guys are right. I doesn't like like the actors, not like the actors. It just ruins the pacing and it's unnecessary and it's just not interesting. So we get the hospital. This is where it becomes very apparent that Heather knows something is up with Daredevil because she remembers he knows her name. We get the Fisk press conference, and look, Dylan, I know you said you like this, but come on, this was in a series of unsurprising moments and unearned twists. Did anybody think Luca was going to kill Fisk? That
No.
Vanessa had betrayed him? I mean, this like he walks in and gets shot, and it's like. And he's like, I mean, the scene was well done. It was well shot, but like, come on, like that could have been a twist. Like they could have shown more conflict between Vanessa and Fisk throughout the season. She could have found out about Adam and been upset. There could have been like breadcrumbs along the way to purposely mislead the viewer to think, oh my gosh, she's really betraying him, instead of just being like, oh yeah, well, this guy's dead.
All I'm saying, the only thing that the thing that I liked about the end is that really made me feel like all right, yeah, this is Kingpin right here. He is sitting there, and I was like, is he has his back to like the probably where you could enter the restaurant or wherever he is all by himself. I didn't exactly know what I was like trying to see what she had written, and I was like, is she sending him? She's sending him to kill Fisk? Is that what? So I didn't quite get that. The only thing that I really thought was cool was that Fitz was sitting there. He was eating his meal, not a care in the world. This guy is coming in, and I thought to myself, Fisk is just gonna break this guy in half. That's what he's gonna do. He's just gonna be like, "You really think I didn't think you were coming? I got a mirror right in front," something or another, and a silenced gunshot just shoots him down. I was like, "Oh, wow!" I actually really thought that was cool. I was like, I didn't even see Buck, if that's his name. I didn't even see him, and I was just like, "That's beautiful." He was just almost like he was waiting there. That I really liked. I didn't know if Vanessa had betrayed him. I was like, did she send him there? Did she do it on purpose? I don't know. Either way, like I'm sure it would be kind of contrived, but I love the fact that he's just sitting there and he doesn't even turn around and look. He's just kind of like, eh.
And
thought
I
that was
I still don't
fantastic.
know if Vanessa betrayed him. I don't know if she's trying to kill Kingpin. I don't know if she was just trying to get rid of Luca. I don't know if
So,
she's
2.8.
like trying to push Kingpin back into being Kingpin by like putting some pressure on him that like these people are rising up and are going to kill him. I I'm hoping that like some of those questions get answered, but honestly, I'm like, I don't know if they will. Are they just going to show up and be totally fine in the next episode?
If she was doing this and she like Fisk knew all about it and this was planned and she was helping him, I didn't get that at all. Like I have no clue if she was trying to kill him or she was setting that other guy, that Luca guy, up. I have no clue. They did not execute that very well at all.
Yeah, and I think that the fact that there was confusion on that is completely a testament to the fact that they didn't execute it well. So look, my read on it was, he meets with Vanessa and basically says, "Hey, I'm not saying we should get rid of him, but unless you're saying that, in which case I'm saying that." And at that moment, I thought, okay, well, this guy's gonna die. She's not gonna try to kill Fisk. Like that's not what they're gonna do. Then they show her the phone, and she's kind of like hesitating to send the message, and then she sends the address,
Mhm,
and then
mhm.
he shows up, and clearly they're expecting him. They got the restaurant all set up for him to walk in. The
Yeah.
trap is set. She says he's alone. He's sitting there,
It said that.
unassuming,
It said
facing
that.
the opposite direction. Yeah, it's said in the text. He's
Is
alone. Here's the
is he
address.
ever alone? Does he ever like
Yeah. In that case, I didn't know that. I actually
Sent him, sent him there to die, and like and it's like as soon as she sent the message, I was like, oh, okay, well that guy's he's dead. Which is like again, there's like this is like the first time they've had like a conversation like Vanessa and Luca. I'm sure she's gonna pick this guy over Kingpin, that this random dude whose name I had to look up on IMDb is certainly gonna be the one she chooses. It was weird. There was no mention of Adam in the episode at all, so I probably never hear about him again. They
Yeah.
kind of
Is he
just
dead?
like,
Does he go back
oh,
into his prison?
I think he's dead. I think he's dead, right?
What?
Like I think that was
No,
kind of
I
like,
thought he was
I
still
I
alive.
would have. I thought he was dead too. I was like, this is sickening. But then Broad was like, and then he threw him back into prison, and I was like, well,
Yeah,
he's dead. That doesn't
he
really matter.
dragged
But I'm
him
like, wait
back
a minute.
into the cell. Last
I
episode, he
guess I
dragged him
can't
back
say
into the
in this
cell.
in this show I can never say anyone is dead. So you're
Yeah,
probably right.
yeah.
He's probably
It's
fine.
true. It's
Luca's
true.
probably fine. He's gonna in the next episode, Kingpin will be like, I hope you learned your lesson, Luca.
And Luca will just walk away with like nothing
Yeah, like
happened.
they got a little patch on his neck or something. It's like, sorry, boss. Here's the 2.4 or whatever.
It reminds me of the first episode when Matt was like, didn't your protege like shoot you in the face? I was like, did she shoot him in the face? And he's fine?
He's fine.
Did he grow a new face?
Yeah, they're like, in order to explain why Fisk is still alive, we're just gonna have to have an increasingly number of ridiculous people like surviving things, escalation in this show. So
Well, that all
then
took place in
no
the
one will
Echo
question why
show.
Fisk is alive.
That took place in the Echo show. She healed him.
She did.
That was actually addressed, but you had to watch Hawkeye to see him get shot, and then you had to watch Echo to see him get healed.
He got like destroyed in the Hawkeye finale, and it was like,
Yeah.
Kingpin.
Yeah. I did see the Hawkeye. I was after it was towards the Echo that I was like, I don't need to watch everything.
Yeah, I didn't watch the Echo. All right, boys. Well, that's it. Anyone have anything to add to any of those scenes, sequences?
Revenge of Boggy Nelson.
All right, let's get to the ratings
we
then,
have
bro.
2 episodes left after this.
2 episodes left. And thankfully, I believe there were 9 episodes that were filmed, and then 9 episodes that got reshoots to try to change around the feel and the narrative. So season 2 is all just new stuff. So I'm still remaining like whatever sliver of optimism I have left for the show is fully banked in the fact that the next 2 episodes will probably be messy and sloppy, but then we're gonna get 9 brand new, just fully, like, built from the ground up episodes that hopefully are much better, because this one might be my least favorite of the season. So I'll just start. I'm gonna
Like,
give this a 6.2. I just I don't know. This was a tough watch for me.
Yeah, yeah.
too long. How about you?
I have to say I was going to go with just a 6. Like, I was exceedingly disappointed with a lot of it. I expect, like, you watch the other, yeah, they're Netflix, but it's Daredevil, and there's got to be some kind of a standard, and they set the bar high, and that's good. They should keep trying to do that, and it's clear, like with this episode, they didn't.
I've been trying to think throughout this episode. I think I'm actually going to go lower than you guys. I'm going to give it a 5.
Oh man, I feel like I need to lower mine now. I didn't want to be the harshest, but I feel like I just got prices righted.
Well, I think because we have, and even with my lowest score of this episode, I still have the highest average.
How did I go to the lowest average? Mine was the highest before. I'm not excellent at math, people. What the hey?
I'll check the stuff. It should just be an average.
Well, I mean, no, I trust the average.
But I just like the fact that the bulk of this episode that we are recording with the 3 of us right now, the fact that we are going through this episode and pretty much laughing at every scene, I'm just like, this episode did not work. It didn't work. There's so many things that all the Muse
Give me
stuff.
a 5.8. Give me a 5.8.
5.8. All right. There's just it. Yeah, there was so many things that just did not work. All the Muse stuff, the fact that they killed Muse, the fact that, all the Heather stuff, all the
Heather stuff,
all of the weird things that they're like, Daredevil can feel her face in a painting, like just weird stuff like that doesn't make sense. So
doesn't make sense. I have no idea what they're going to do with the next 2. I mean, like, Bullseye's getting out. They're going to hunt. Like, this is kind of like the, from the comics, like the way was it, like, Brody, you're a comic aficionado, but like this is the Devil's Reign storyline kind of playing out, where Kingpin's mayor and then makes the outlaws vigilantism.
I didn't read that one. So
creates a bunch of Thunderbolt things, and like even like Sue
not
Richards,
getting any of that.
People even get like wrapped up into it. So yeah, I don't think we're getting that, but I have no idea which parts of that we're getting. I don't know. Like, we got 2 episodes left. We got Karen coming back allegedly. We got Bullseye coming back allegedly. The Punisher's still lingering out there.
Yeah.
According to what does IMDb know that we don't know? I don't know. She's allegedly in the last 2 episodes.
Well, and you know what?
That's flashback, I mean, or real? Who knows?
While we're talking briefly, because I know we're approaching an hour. While we're talking briefly about like the comics, I'm taking some issue with Daredevil Born Again, the title Born Again, because the Born Again comic that was written by Frank Miller is an excellent comic, and this doesn't do any of that. We're not seeing Daredevil at his lowest point. We're not like, we're pulling from so many different spots, and I get it. Like, that's what they do with these shows, is they pull little bits, but they specifically named this Born Again. And whether that's just, because it was on Netflix and now it's Born Again as Disney Plus, to call it that, you're automatically going to be pointing to the Frank Miller comic that kind of defined Daredevil in the 80s. So why did they call it this if they're just going to completely ignore that entire storyline? Frustrating. You have Daredevil, you have Kingpin, and that's kind of it. And that's all we're getting that has anything to do with Born Again comic.
Yeah. And you're so right. Like, they had killing Foggy, they could have really brought him to a low, and we don't get that. He's like, fine. He's just like, yeah.
I'm a little bit sad. Okay. I'll say the prayer or whatever, and let's keep going.
Yeah. Well, stick with us. It's on a downward trajectory, but we'll get to the end together. 2 more weeks, people. 2 more weeks.
2 more weeks.
We got this.
All right. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and close this one out.
But hey, thanks for sticking with us. Hey, we can commiserate together. Misery enjoys company, and so do we. So stick with us. We're gonna get to the end of this, and maybe the last 2 episodes will surprise us with some magic. At least we hope so. But you know what? The real magic is right here anyway. All right. So we'll see you next time. Click that like and subscribe, and we'll see you again when we're born again.